now what I want to do in the next few minutes is I want to just show you how connection relationship works alphabetically, okay? So I'm going to bring my Aleph down here. I'm just taking letters of the alphabet and bringing them down lower so I can work with them. Okay, so here's my Aleph. Right, I'm bringing my letters down now. So my Aleph represents God's oneness. Then I take Beit, which is a letter of connection and relationship, which represents two-ness. Two-ness is where connection relationships begin. Now, just follow the grammar here, okay? Because we're going to learn a principle based on the grammar of the letters. If Beit is a letter of connection relationship, and it happens to be situated in the alphabet next to the goal of what you're trying to connect to, which is the Aleph representing God's oneness, it makes sense that since the letter of connection relationship is sitting next to what you're supposed to be connecting and relating to, then the definition of a bet when used as a prefix is going to be inner with, the preposition inner with, because you can't get any more connected to something other than being in it or with it. But wouldn't it make sense that God would use Beit as the strongest preposition of connection or relationship because the two-ness is sitting next to the oneness of what you're here to connect to? Make sense, ladies? Okay. Now, let's go halfway down the alphabet to the letter Chaf. And Chaf is not two-ness. Chaf is 20-ness. And 20-ness is 10 times further away from the Aleph. Because the Aleph represents God's oneness. That's what we're here to connect to. But I just moved halfway down the alphabet, which means since I'm 10 times further away from the goal, my ability to connect is weakening because I'm not sitting next to what I need to connect to. So therefore, 20-ness has to be connection or relationship because it's still a factor of 2. All two-nesses on some level have to be connective. But since it's 10 times further away from where it should be, its ability to connect is weaker. So grammatically, when you take a chaf of connection or relationship and put it in front of a noun, let's say, or let's take an easy word. Take the word zeh, which means this. If you say kzeh, you didn't say in this, you didn't say with this, those are too strong. What did you say? Like this. In other words, I'm still connecting, but I'm only similar to it. So if I'm similar to it, that's a weaker connection than being in it or with it. Okay? Because I moved halfway down the alphabet, I'm 10 times further away. Let's move all the way down the alphabet to the other side to where we get to a resh. And now I'm at 200-ness. So it's still got to be a letter of connection relationship because it's a factor of 2 still. But it's 100 times further away from the goal of what you're supposed to be connecting to. Which means there has to be an aspect of connection or relationship built into resh, but it's going to be extremely subtle because it's at the wrong end of the alphabet from the letter Aleph. So the question is, where can you see a hint of connectiveness in the letter resh? So resh in the Torah, reshes are letters that represent movement or motivation to move or causation to move or will to move. In other words, resh is a letter of flow. It moves. And that's why reshes have, reshes are one of the 2 hardest letters of the Hebrew alphabet to pronounce. In other words, ayin is difficult because it's guttural. It's right? It's hard for Americans to, as a matter of fact, a lot of Israelis just consider it to be a silent letter, but it's really a guttural. It's hard. But the other hard letter is a resh, because a resh trills. So it's either resh or it's resh. Did that work? Resh, like where your palate vibrates. It's a letter of movement because your mouth has to create a movement to get the trill right. So we Americans have a very difficult time. Maybe Canadians, do you guys roll yours? It's the same problem. So you can't, it's hard to, what about, you got French is, resh.
No, it's the same one.
It's like a, right? So therefore, how do you see hints to that? Because there are some words in the Torah that have reishes in them are very easy to spot that this is a motivational move or it's a flow letter, like the word gerar is to toe, and geder is a boundary. It's where your influence goes out to. And ratz is to run. Ratzon is your will, it's your motivation. Barad is hail. Barak is lightning. So you can find words in the Torah with reishes that you say, hey, I see some movement in this word, or I see a motivation in this word. So how is that connective? How is movement connective? Well, if you learned in high school physics that God created a world of inertia where things at rest stay at rest, then if something's moving, let's say a ball rolls past my feet while I'm teaching the class, one thing's for sure, if it's moving, there must have been a cause. That's a connection. Flow implies a cause. So there's a connection between what's happening and what caused it to happen. So therefore, reishes represent some sort of flow or movement. Okay? Good. So now, I just want to show you what's happening in the letters of two-ness. Okay? So therefore, Aleph represents God's oneness. So look up here for a second. When the letter of connection relationship is sitting next to the goal, that means that the idea, when it flows into this world, is having maximum impact because we're right next to where everything's coming from. So bait represents that intensity that's coming down into this world, and therefore it has, as a preposition, an ability to be inner with, which intensely connects you. But what happens when you move halfway down the alphabet? So you're not next to the goal. So you're not inner with anymore. You're only similar to, which means when the flow comes down, it's weakening. It's not a bait, it's a chaf. And now when you get to the end of the alphabet, and all you're doing is flowing into this world, but you're not having an impact, it's just flow, it becomes a reish. So beit, chaf, and reish are all the same letter, but as you move away from the aleph, the goal you're connecting to, the impact is weakening till at the end, it's just flowing without any impact whatsoever. So these are all three letters of connection and relationship based on the same shape of the bait. Okay, any questions on this? Okay, we'll stop over here and we'll start with another letter next time.